For licensed appraisers, you would need 2,000 hours, no fewer than 12 months. In other words, you had to train for at least 12 months and get at least 2,000 experience hours before you could be a licensed residential appraiser. That is now basically being cut in half.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Justin Harris.
All right, everybody, I'm going to tackle it. I'm going to talk about the AQB. I'm going to talk about the standards that are changing, the qualifications. I'm going to do it. I promise. I want to remind you, of course, we are sponsored by A La Mode software. A La Mode is what I use to get my appraisal work done, to work more efficiently, more effectively, to be able to work smarter, not harder. Check them out. Go to alamode.com. Again, it's alamode.com, or you can pick up the phone. You can call them 800 A La Mode. It's 800 A La Mode. We are sponsored by DataMaster. DataMaster, of course, coming out with its DataMaster 6.0 is what they're calling it. It's incredible, folks. The amount of work that you'll be able to get done before you actually import it into your A La Mode or other software is amazing. Check them out. Go to datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. Once again, datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. And finally, we are sponsored by Working RE Magazine. Folks, if you want to know what's going on in the appraisal profession, you want to turn to Working RE Magazine. They were one of the first ones to make this announcement that we're going to be talking about today. And you can go to workingre.com and sign up for their email. And it's free, and they'll keep you in the know. Again, it's workingre.com. All right, here we go. The Appraisal Foundation announced recently that they are lowering, I say almost tongue-in-cheek, lowering the standards for appraisers to get their licensed, certified, or certified general license. Basically, it's this. Just to lay it out here, prior to April 30th, 2018, for licensed appraisers, you would need 2,000 hours, no fewer than 12 months. In other words, you had to train for at least 12 months and get at least 2,000 experience hours before you could be a licensed residential appraiser. That is now basically being cut in half. 1,000 hours in no fewer than 6 months is now going to be effective after May 1, 2018. Certified, 2,500 hours in no fewer than 24 months was the prior requirement. And now it is 1,500 hours in no fewer than 12 months, okay, for certified general. And as far as the certified general, doesn't look like a lot's changing there, but I'll just read it word for word. 3,000 hours in no fewer than 30 months, of which 1,500 or 1,500 hours must be in non-residential appraisal work. And it's changing to 3,000 hours in no fewer than 18 months, of which 1,500 hours must be in non-residential work. In other words, in layman's terms, the only thing that's changing in the certified general is the amount of time required minimum to get your hours, right? It used to be 30 months, and now it is 18 months. Again, this is all effective May 1, 2018, and the blogosphere is up in arms. And you know what? Let's just start with this. I don't blame them. I'm not all for this. I'm not really excited about this. My trainee is super thrilled. By the way, they've also announced that they're going to basically be accepting all of so the fourth, if you look up the fourth exposure draft, it's basically number 3 they're not adopting, and that was basically the one that was stupid anyway. It was a proposal that would allow you to be able to become an appraiser without actually even stepping foot in the field, without ever actually doing an appraisal inspection, that basically everything could be done in classroom. At least that's the way I understood it. I am certainly willing to be wrong if you want to reach out to me and explain it to a layman like myself. But that's the way I understood it. They are not adopting that proposal. But the other three, they are number 1, number 2, and number 4. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I apologize, but I do know that one of them is kind of what they call the grandfather clause, and which basically says, they're still keeping the 4-year degree requirement for certified residential, but you could get licensed residential with certain educational classes. And then if you went 5 years without any state disciplinary action against you, then you could transform that with some hoop jumping into a certified residential. So it is possible to get a certified residential license as an appraiser without having to have a 4-year degree. Please read up on the details of that, because I basically made it very, very simple here so that we can all listen and drive while we do our comp pictures and kind of understand it. But it is much more detailed than I have outlined here, and I would highly, highly encourage that you do take a look at it and make sure that you understand it fully, because it will have significant impact on what you do, how you do your appraisal work. Okay, what is my opinion? Well, I'll tell you when we come back from the break. I first want to give you my opinion about a la mode. A la mode is the software that I've used for over 20 years. Why? Because it is my opinion that it is the best. And it is not just my opinion, but tens of thousands of appraisers across the country who use a la mode software also agree that it is the best software out there to get your appraisal work done quickly, efficiently, and with high quality. Go to alamode.com for more information. Again, it's alamode, ALAMODE.com for more information. Recently, I had an opportunity on this program to talk to the individuals over at DataMaster, including the new CEO, Kevin, there at DataMaster, and had an opportunity to discuss with them the upcoming DataMaster 6. It's already in the Portland area, and it's rolling out across the country. It is an amazing program which will allow you to do all kinds of analytics and looking at comps and their pictures and their descriptions all within the DataMaster program before you hit that import button into your software. It is amazing. Check it out. Go to datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. Once again, it's Datamaster free trial. Why free trial? Because it gives you 14 days free. Datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. And finally, today we are sponsored by Working RE Magazine. Folks, when I really want to understand what's going on in the appraisal profession, that's where I go. Isaac, David, the others over there at Working RE make it very easy for an idiot like myself to understand what's going on in the appraisal profession. You can do that as well, whether you're an idiot or not. You can go to workingre.com and you can sign up for their email. It comes across a couple times a week, and I have an opportunity to decide whether or not I want to read through it or not. If I don't, I delete it. If I do, I read through it and learn a little bit about my profession as a real estate appraiser. It's Working RE, as in workingrealestate.com. And we are back, folks. We are talking today about the Appraisal Foundation's memo that came out recently concerning the Appraiser Qualification Board, basically lowering the standards for becoming an appraiser. Now, there's a lot of uproar, a lot of talk, if you will, in the blogosphere. When I say blogosphere, mostly Facebook is where I spend my time at these different groups that are online that I highly encourage you're a part of. They can get a little negative and they can get a little depressing, but I think as far as knowing what's going on and how other appraisers are feeling about things, I think they're valuable. Although I have to say my opinion may vary a little bit different than most people online on various occasions, this being one of them. And that is, I think mostly what I'm hearing on the boards is that appraisers are upset. They say that lowering the requirements is going to lower the profession. It's going to hurt the appraisers because laws of economics would say this is going to increase the number of appraisers, and thus it will, affect the supply and demand of the appraisal work that's out there, and we won't be able to have as much work available to us as appraisers. I'm not saying any of that is wrong, and I certainly don't have a crystal ball, and I certainly think that some of that makes sense. However, I'm going to take a little bit of a different tact here today, a little bit of a different opinion, if you will, on how I feel concerning the quote-unquote lower standards. And that is this. I will make this blanket statement, then I will include commentary on what I mean. The blanket statement is this. The standards for becoming an appraiser are no less than whatever your mentor requires. Let me repeat that. The requirements to become an appraiser are no less than what your mentor, your appraiser mentor, requires. Okay, what do I mean by this? What I mean by this is the experience as of May 1 in most states, and by the way, I've been asked the question, do you think most states are going to adopt these standards? Yes, they will. It's much easier for them to just adopt whatever the AQB, the Appraiser Foundation, talks about, because they don't have to have their own set of public record inquiry, their hearings, their back and forth, and all of this jazz when they simply accept whatever the appraiser qualification criteria that has been given to them on a national basis is. It's easy for them. And so most states will, yes, they very much will accept these. Do they have to? No. States don't have to have any qualifications at all. They don't have to have any licensing at all. I don't know that there's any states out there that are still like this, but years ago, many states did not even have licensing laws. And you could be an appraiser without having an appraisal license, right? So no, they don't have to. This is a state law situation, and they trump anything on the national basis, right? You still have to comply with USPAP as an appraiser, right? But the qualifications to become an appraiser, the whatever the state board adopts, is typically from the national side of things, right? Now, let me actually back up for a second. I said you still have to comply with USPAP unless state law says you don't. And that's important to point out as well, okay? In other words, it is the state law that trumps. And most of the time, the state law says, hey, we're going to adopt the USPAP as standards, and we're going to adopt whatever the AQB says is the qualifications to become an appraiser. That's what we're going to adopt. So here's the thing. Number one, it's not too late to reach out to your state government and say to them, I don't like what's being done here, and I don't think that we as a state should be adopting this new proposal. I think that though there are 2,000 hours, or there's 1,000 hours required now in less than 6 months, I think that we ought to hold ourselves to a higher standard. There is still time to do that, right? You still can do that at the state level. They don't have to accept this lower, quote unquote, lower standard, right? And so there's still an opportunity there. That's number one. Number two, let's say your state does, which they probably will, adopt these lower standards. What about you as a business owner? What about you as an appraiser? What about you as a mentor? Are you going to adopt these lower standards? Here's what I'm getting at. Many appraisers are concerned about these quote-unquote lower standards, and what they're saying is by doing this, they're basically saturating the market with crap appraisers who do crap work, which brings the whole industry down. Now, I think that's probably a pretty blanket statement, right? I'm looking at a comment right now on one of the boards that says, this is going to ruin our industry. Okay, maybe. It doesn't have to. Just because the board says that that's the minimum standard does not mean it needs to be your standard. Let me explain. I have my own set of standards as a mentor. When I take on a trainee, I make sure that those individuals are qualified before they go out and do their thing, right? It's my responsibility as a mentor. If you've taken the mentor class, you'll understand this. There may be certain set guidelines and minimums that are quote unquote required by the state board. Do they have to be your requirements? Absolutely not. You are the mentor. You're the one that decides. Let me give you an example. Let's say you take an apprentice out and you have them help you supervised choosing of comps, but they really don't do much. Let's say it's in the early part, they're still wet between the ears and they're still being trained, and you walk them through step by step how to do the comps, right? But you're doing most of the work, right? They're just watching you. Are you going to sign off on their log that they chose the comps? I mean, think about that for a second. You chose the comps, they watched you. Do they get credit for choosing comps? That's a decision you as a mentor have to make. I personally don't think that that's the case. If they're not doing it with me supervising, then to me, that's not credit. That's not credit. So here's the thing. Could it be possible that we're going to get in this process of kicking out, milling appraisers quickly and getting them out in the field too quickly? Sure. I think that that is a big possibility. I don't think that has to be the case. In other words, I don't have to, as a mentor, sign off on anything that I don't think that the appraiser actually did. I have that decision to make, including turning in the final log. When it's time for the appraiser to sit for his or her exam, I, the mentor, have the opportunity to sign off on that log or not sign off on that log. And consequently, you as an appraiser, trainee, need to accept whatever your mentor is going to do. And I think going into this, you need to, if you want to become an appraiser and you're not one now, you need to sit down with your mentor and you need to find out. And by the way, I would not go with the easiest mentor. Let me repeat that. I would not go with the easiest mentor. I would make sure that you go with the individual who's actually going to teach you something about being an appraiser. I think you're doing yourself a disfavor if you look for the easiest road to licensure. If you're looking for that mentor that's going to sign off on everything because they can't wait to get you licensed, I don't know that you're doing yourself a favor. I would say you're not. As a mentor, you can look at these lowered standards in two ways. Maybe it's a way to quickly get your trainee out there and become licensed. Okay, that's one way to look at it. I would highly recommend, highly encourage that not be the way you look at it. That you rather take your job as a mentor very seriously and take the profession very seriously. And we as appraisers need to decide that we're going to make sure that those that we train are highly qualified and able to accomplish those things that they need to accomplish to make this and keep this the best profession in the world. So when I'm asked, what is your opinion about the lower standards? I guess I would say, what lower standards? I haven't lowered my standards at all. And I certainly, as a coach to other appraisers, would encourage that you look at it the same way. I'm not saying that you necessarily require 2,000 hours. I think those arbitrary minimums are goofy, to be honest with you. I might take somebody that's had some construction background or had some measuring background or something, and they'll be able to measure and do an inspection a lot faster than somebody who's never done that before in their life, right? And to say arbitrarily that they need 300 hours in the field or they need 300 inspections under their belt before they're going to be ready to go out on their own, I think is ridiculous. I think you as the mentor have the best observation as to whether or not they are quote unquote ready to go out into the field. Your minimums should be their ability to be able to accomplish the task with professionalism. That should be your minimums. Who cares what the AQB said? Who cares what the Appraisal Foundation said? No, we can't control what other appraisers are going to do, but we sure as hell can and must control what we do in our own offices. And my standards have not lowered at all. Thank you for joining me today, folks, and we'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.